Okay, guys, welcome to the review. This is going to be our Unit 3. Man, we are almost there. Thank you. Woo. This is going to be our Unit 3 review, okay, going over the 3 systems. What 3 systems will we go over this week? Lymphatic,
immune,
blood, or hematic. Very good. Lymphatic, immune, or the blood or hematic systems is what we went over. And yes, it's quite a few systems, but nonetheless, we learned how they are all interconnected, how one leads to the other, which leads to the other. The blood leads to the lymphatic system, the lymphatic system leads to the blood system, and the blood system carries the immune system, as does the lymphatic system. Hey, that was kind of a confusing statement. We're about to dive in and see about your understanding. So, what would you say the liquid portion of the blood is called? Plasma. Very good. That was easy, I guess. What is another name for platelets? Thrombocytes. What does that thromba mean? What is that root word of thrombo or thromba? Who said it? Yes, very good. Say it loud, say it proud. Clotting, that's exactly right. Thrombocyte means clotting cell. Cyte is to cell, thromba is to clotting. Okay? So now I want to talk about the difference between hemostasis and the process of clotting. What is hemostasis?
A balance of blood.
No, not balance. There's a specific word I'm looking for. Let's see.
Control blood flow.
Very good. Control the blood flow. Okay, we need to control the blood flow. Usually hemostasis is something that we say, okay, you're bleeding, okay, we need hemostasis to occur. And we used to say we need you to control your bleeding. Not blood flow, but to control bleeding. Control bleeding. But we will do that through the process of clotting, which is called coagulation. So you need to know the difference between coagulation, which is the process of clotting. That's a factor X for thrombin activator, thrombin, fibrinogen, fibrin, clot. Okay, that's coagulation. Okay? But hemostasis is the act of controlling bleeding. Because that hem is going to be blood, and then the stasis is going to mean control. Okay? Coagulation and hemostasis. Hemostasis and coagulation.
So coagulation is the process of homeostasis.
Say again? Not homeostasis. No, it's not hemostasis. Yes. So what did you say?
Coagulation is the process before hemostasis.
I would say that they're very much so intertwined. Yes, that's right.
Review?
Yes. Why? Right. Keep you on camera.
Is that her letter?
Okay, so goodness, what were we talking about? Yes, coagulation and hemostasis. You need to know that. Know the difference between them. It's important. Okay? Now, this type of leukocyte is an alkaline, or attracts alkaline. And it is there to combat parasites and allergens. Not phagocytes. What did you say? Eosinophils, you sure?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
That would be wrong.
It's neutrophil. You got
There's more than one. Keywords, alkaline. Basophils. Okay? Basophils attract alkaline and they combat parasites and allergens. They combat parasites by releasing, combat allergens by releasing histamines and heparin.
I spell basophil.
B-A-S-O-P-H-I-L-S. Basophil. Okay. Yes. So the basophil is going to be a type of white blood cell that is a granulocyte that attracts alkaline dye. That's the key word there. Attracts alkaline dye. Attracts alkaline dye and combats parasites and allergens. Okay, there is no other type of white blood cell that attracts alkaline dye. Okay, alkaline dye. So we need to talk about serology. First off, what is serology? Study of immune responses. What immune responses? What are we talking about when we say immune responses?
Antigen, antibody.
That's right. Antigen antibody reactions. Okay. So talking about that a little bit more in detail, we need to understand what an antigen is. Okay. An antigen is a foreign substance that produces an immune reaction in the form of antibodies. Okay? There's lots of couples. An antigen is a foreign material that when introduced into the body will cause an immune reaction. And that immune reaction will be the antibodies to defeat the antigen. Okay? An antigen, okay, is a foreign material when introduced into the body will cause an immune reaction in the form of antibodies. Okay? And we already know that antigens, antibody. We know that serology is the study of that antigen antibody response, the immune response. Okay? So we need to understand particularly what is an antigen. That foreign material, okay, that when introduced into the body will cause an immune reaction. Okay? Immune reaction usually being antibodies. What is the vehicle for the blood gases? Know it. Okay? We're going to talk about a new thing here. Or really, it shouldn't be new because you should have read about it. Okay? But just in case you didn't read about it, pancytopenia. Pancytopenia. What's it? Pancytopenia. Excuse me. Pancytopenia. Sorry for saying that wrong. Who happens to know what it means, if anyone? Well, what do you do if you don't know what something means? Look it up. That doesn't mean Google it. Okay? I didn't have to go in.
Efficiency of all cells.
It's very good. Where did you see that? 216? Where do you see that? 216?
At the bottom.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Very good. I'm glad that you found that. And the reason why I wanted you to look that up is on page 216 if you didn't hear that. Thank you very much. Is because you need to know what these word groups mean. Okay? Pan means all. Cyto, you already know, means what? Cell. And we already talked about penia yesterday, which means what? Deficiency. Okay? So this is, like she said, a deficiency of all of the cells. Okay? But that's really more generalized than we would like it to be. So the particular definition for pancytopenia is going to be deficiency of all blood cells caused by a dysfunctional stem cell. You don't need to know that second part. You just need to know that pancytopenia is a deficiency of all of the blood cells. Okay? You don't have enough blood. Okay? And when we say blood, we're talking about the formed elements. What are the formed elements again?
Erythrocytes, leukocytes, and thrombocytes.
Very good. Erythrocytes, leukocytes, and thrombocytes. So you don't have enough of all of those things. Okay? All of those things. Pancytopenia. Okay? Another thing that you need to know, we talked about leukemia yesterday, but we need to know about leukocytosis too. Okay? Who remembers what leukemia is?
It's overproduction of white blood cells.
Very good. An overproduction or, I want to go with, for leukemia, overproduction of white blood cells. And the reason why is because leukocytosis is a moderate, slight to moderate increase in white blood cell counts. That's what leukocytosis is. You should already know all the word roots in here. Thrombo means what?
It's clotting.
Clotting. Okay, thrombo means what?
Clotting.
Thrombo means what?
Clotting.
Clotting is what?
Thrombo.
Clotting means what?
Thrombo.
Clotting means what?
Thrombo.
Thrombo is what?
Clotting.
Okay, very good. All right. Cyto, you should already know means. Okay, and then penia is what? Deficiency. Deficiency, right? So penia is what? Penia is what? Penia is. Okay, deficiency is. Deficiency is what? Okay, very good. You need to know that because when you see thrombocytopenia, somebody break that down. What is that? What does that word mean? Thrombocytopenia.
Deficiency of clotting cells.
Very good. Deficiency of the clotting cells. Okay? Being able to break these words down is going to be the easiest way. Let's talk about hypersensitivity. Okay. A hypersensitivity, okay, means that, remember, hyper means excessive, okay? This means you are excessively sensitive to this one thing. What does that kind of sound like? If you are excessively sensitive to this one particular thing, they call that a what? Allergy. You need to know that, okay? Hypersensitivity is to allergy, okay? If you are hypersensitive to something, you are allergic to that. Okay? Some of us are hypersensitive to milk. Okay? Some of us are hypersensitive to pollen. Some of us are hypersensitive to gluten. Okay? Now, this should have been something that you read in your reading, but I want to talk about auto. I'm not talking about cars. Okay. Yes, what did you say? Yes, exactly that. Auto means self. Like, for example, an autoimmune disease means a self-immune disease. Wait, what? Self-immune disease? What am I talking about when I say that? I'm saying that a self-immune disease means that your immune system is attacking itself. What's a great example of that? No. The virus is attacking lupus. Okay. When the immune system turns on itself, okay, it's called an autoimmune disease. A great example of that might be lupus. Let's talk about hypovolemia. Hypo means what? Who knows?
Low.
Okay. Low, also deficient. Okay. Low or deficient. Okay. Hypovolemia is a deficient volume of circulating blood. Okay. Now remember we talked about how you have 4 to 6 liters of blood in you. Okay. Hypovolemia means you have below 4, and you're supposed to have above 4. Okay. It's a deficient amount of circulating blood. Getting a little bit into emergency medicine because I specialize in emergency medicine. Okay, hypovolemic, they call that like hypovolemic shock. Okay, hypovolemic shock is probably where you will see hypovolemia. It's really not used with anything else. Okay, it's when you've lost so much blood, okay, and your body does not have enough blood circulating around it. Okay, so let's say somebody was hit and had an arterial hit. Usually, you've probably seen this in the movies. When somebody hits an artery, what does it do? Spurts out, right? And then when you actually see it, when real life, when you see it, okay, it spurts out faster and faster, and it's going to like slow down. The reason why is because your heart is trying to compensate for all this this blood that is thinking, well, it should still be in the body. I don't know what's happening. So let me just try to circulate it faster. What actually happens is it kills itself. It kills you, okay? Because it's thinking, well, let me try to circulate faster, but what's actually happening is all that blood is shooting out and you run out of blood. So that would be hypovolemia. Okay, hypovolemia. Another key word, okay, I said we were going to talk about some of the things, some of the pathology, is apheresis. Apheresis. Let's look it up. Somebody tell me what that means.
Temporary removal of blood from a donor, in which one or more components are removed, and the rest of the blood is reinfused into the donor. So page 229.
Very good. Apheresis is actually really, really, really interesting. Okay? Reading that again, thank you so much. We're on page 229. Temporary removal of blood from a donor in which one or more components are removed and the rest of the blood is reinfused into the donor. For example, leukapheresis, removal of white blood cells. Plasmapheresis, removal of plasma. And plateletpheresis is removal of thrombocytes. Okay? So, when we talk about apheresis, okay, we're usually going to put something before it, okay? But it means that we're taking out your blood, saying, I want this. Taking that thing that you want out of it, giving you back the blood without that thing, okay? So leukapheresis, taking out the blood. Hey, I really want your white blood cells. So I'm just going to take the white blood cells. You can have the blood. Okay? Plasmapheresis is something that is fairly common. Any of you ever heard of BioLife?
Yeah.
Okay. When they take plasma, that's what's happening. Plasmapheresis is taking place. Taking out the blood, getting the plasma, putting the blood back in. Okay? So you need to know about apheresis. Okay? Apheresis by itself means removal. Apheresis. Apheresis spelled Apheresis. Apheresis means removal. Jumping back down, okay, to dyscrasia. What does dys mean? I already told you that. No, dys, D-Y-S. Difficult, abnormal, painful, okay? All of those things is what dys means. But let's talk about dyscrasia, okay? A term that means disease is used more specifically to describe only diseases of the blood and bone marrow, okay? So dyscrasia is going to describe a lot of these things that we just talked about. Pancytopenia, thrombocytopenia, hypovolemia, blah, blah, whatever. Okay? Dyscrasia is a disease of the blood and or bone marrow. Great example of that being leukemia. Okay? That's dyscrasia. Okay? So I want you to understand dyscrasia as not a specific thing, but a generalized thing. And which is say, under dyscrasia, which is disease of the blood and bone marrow, blood and or bone marrow, might be leukemia, might be thrombocytopenia, might be leukocytosis, might be any of those things. because all of those things are diseases of the blood and bone, and or bone. Okay? Yes.
Diseases of the
Blood and or bone. And or bone. Because usually to kind of break that down a little bit more, what is responsible for making the blood? Hmm? No, I don't want to know about the hormone. What specifically makes the blood? I just said it. The bone marrow. Okay, that spongy bone marrow is responsible. When you do musculoskeletal system next month, you will understand that in detail. Okay? But nonetheless, the bone marrow is responsible for making the blood. The bone marrow is responsible for making the blood. So if there's something wrong with the bone marrow, if the bone marrow is diseased, then everything that is making thus will be diseased. So that's why we say dyscrasia is a disease of the blood and or bone marrow. You may have a disease in your blood that has not gotten to your bone marrow. So it may be singularly that. Or you may have a disease of your bone marrow which causes a disease of your blood. So that's why we say and or. Y'all still with me? Okay, hold on. I need you, hold on. Okay, we're almost done. All this complexity. Okay? Edema. Edema means what? Swelling. Okay? And now I want you to understand how that happens. Okay? Okay? Now, we're not talking about lymphedema here. We're just talking about edema. But edema is an accumulation of those interstitial fluids or of fluids. That's why if you get punched in the eye, boom, it starts to swell because those little tiny capillaries are that are broken open and cause all this fluid to just spread around the area.
So we can say inflammation. Cause inflammation.
Not quite. I mean, edema, you'll see a symptom of edema is inflammation, but inflammation doesn't cause it. All right. What does the thymus gland create?
T cells.
Yes, very good. T cells. T cells, otherwise, what's the full name for that T cell?
T leukocytes.
T, not leukocytes. Lymphocytes. Okay. T lymphocytes. Okay. Lymphocytes are great at doing what?
Like recognizing.
Recognizing, detecting. Okay. Great at detecting. And some of them are pretty good at fighting too. Alright, just some word parts I want you to know. You should already know these. Hem means what?
Blood.
Blood. Urethra means what?
Red.
Red. Okay? Coming from urethra, eosin. Rosy red. Pink. Rosy red. Okay?
Slow down a little bit.
You should already know. I thought you would already know that.
Hey, I'm just jotting it down.
Okay.
Us mid-rights a little slower than you want.
Okay, I understand. So hem means blood. Urethra means red. Okay. Eosin, like eosinophil, or eosin, I guess you could say, means pink or rosy red. Note that eosinophils are then what color? Pink or rosy red, because that eosin means pink, rosy red. Okay? And then finally, Luke means what?
White.
White. Okay? So we good with that? Questions?
15. You go right here. Not 15.
Edema? Yes.
Yeah.
Edema is an accumulation of fluids underneath the skin, okay? Which is swelling. Okay, edema is swelling, but it's swelling because of the accumulation of all those fluids underneath. Okay. Good question. Any other questions? Okay, this is your education. If you do not understand even a single part of this, I need for you to tell me. Okay? Now moving forward, all right, especially as we go into the next mod, it's going to be critical that you understand these concepts. For most of you, this is the first time you've had it. So I've just kind of been like trying to hold your hand towards getting there. But we're there now. So I need you to lock on, okay, and ask questions if you don't understand. Please do ask questions. Okay. So once again, we good. Any questions? Yes.
What is it?
Leukocytosis. Leukocytosis is going to be. Remember, if we understand what leukopenia is, if we understand what leukemia is, which is an overproduction of almost an extreme overproduction of white blood cells. Understanding leukemia will then give you the key to leukocytosis. Leukocytosis is a smaller version of leukemia. Okay, in which to say leukocytosis is the slight to moderate increase of white blood cells, white blood cell creation. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Leukocytosis versus leukemia. Leukocytosis is the moderate increase in white blood cells. Leukemia is the increase of immature white blood cells.
Are you reading out of the book?
I did because I didn't catch it. That's why I'm coming back to it.
Yes, is the most direct answer.
Okay, so tell me in your words how you want me to understand leukemia.
Leukemia is the total overproduction of white blood cells. Okay, overproduction of white blood
That's
cells.
what I want.
It is indeed particularly the overproduction of immature white blood cells. Okay, and we're actually going to talk about what those are called, or I think what immature red blood cells are. Okay, but nonetheless, we need to understand that. If you understand the basics, then the rest, the details will come. Does that make kind of sense? Okay. Any other questions on what we just went through? Great questions, guys. Great questions.
I'll watch it on YouTube.
You two can't answer the questions like I can. No problem. Okay. You good? Who's here?
Process of clotting and hemostasis.
Very good. Process of clotting and hemostasis. Remember, the process of clotting is called coagulation. Okay? The process of clotting is called coagulation. While hemostasis is the controlling the bleeding. Okay? Controlling the bleeding. So, in order for hemostasis to occur, most times we need coagulation to occur. Okay? But we will do, if someone is bleeding out, we will try our very best, okay, to try to control their bleeding. Especially if, let's say, somebody is on, like maybe a heparin drip or Coumadin or something like that. Hopefully I'm not blowing your minds right now. If they're on an anticoagulant and they get injured, okay, coagulation is just pretty much not a factor. That just won't happen. Okay? It will be extremely hard for that to happen. Okay? So we need to control that bleeding sometimes through pressure, a pressure dressing, sometimes through whatever method we got to do. We got to raise your arm so you don't keep bleeding from it. Whatever we got to do, we have to control the bleeding. Okay? Versus coagulation, which is the process of clotting.
And that doesn't work really well with
The short answer is no. Okay.
but my mom she lives like across the street from my house.
But the short answer is no. Any other questions? Great questions. Okay, this is your time. All right, let's do it. Okay, so what is the most numerous type of blood cell? Erythrocytes, otherwise called what? Red blood cells. Very good. We need to understand, this might be a new thing for you, you should have read about it, but what a reticulocyte is. A reticulocyte is a baby red blood cell. It is an immature red blood cell. Okay? The thing about reticulocytes is that they have a nucleus. I talked about that. Okay? Talked about that. Mature red blood cells, erythrocytes, do not have nucleus. Who can tell me why?
Because they don't need things.
They don't need it. What do they need?
Space.
They need space for the
Carbon and oxygen.
Hemoglobin.
hemoglobin. They need space for the hemoglobin. Okay? Because that's a big body car right there. It needs some space for the hemoglobin, which is going to carry those blood gases, carbon dioxide and oxygen.
But you said the immature blood cells,
Immature.
they have
They have a nucleus because they need to grow. They need to get bigger. They need to understand what they're doing. Okay? This is kind of like when you get into your career finally, and let's say it's a repetitious career, you're doing the same thing over and over again. +1, -1, +1, -1, +1, -1. If that was your job, you really wouldn't need a brain. You could just do that without a brain. Muscle memory. Okay? So, what increases due to infection? White blood cells. Very good. White blood cells are going to increase due to infection. Okay? See how that's an arrow? That's an actual medical abbreviation. Up arrow means increase. What is phagocytosis? How? How does phagocytosis work? How does phagocytosis work? What does it do? And do what? That's exactly it. It eats them from the inside out. It digests them. Surrounds it and digests it. Okay? It eats it. Okay?
So when you say it eats,
Yes.
what are you saying it eats?
It eats whatever is in its way. It will eat that pathogen. It will eat cell parts that it just are unnecessary. It is the cleanup, garbage man, super garbage man of the immune system. Okay, or that is the process thereof. Okay, we need to understand that phagocytosis, okay, occurs, okay, via phagocytes. Okay, you need a phagocyte in order to perform phagocytosis. Okay. Consumes it. Exactly right. Eats it, consumes it. That's it. Pretty much. Okay, but it's directed. It's not just going to start eating everything. It's a direction. Hey, I need you to eat that. I need you to eat that pile of trash over there. It's like having, you guys know about goats. Goats eat everything, right? It's like having a yard full of goats. Grass would never be cut. Okay. Universal donor versus universal recipient. Who is the universal donor?
Oh.
Okay. Who is the universal donor?
Oh.
Okay. I need for at least 8 of you tonight. Okay. Who is the universal donor?
Oh.
Okay. Very good. Therefore, who is the universal recipient?
AB.
AB. Okay. You need to understand that. Who the universal donor is? O. And who the universal recipient is?
AB.
AB. Okay. And that is representative of 2 of the 3 types of antigens. What is the third type of antigen? RH. Okay, otherwise called what?
Rhesus
You
factor.
may or may not do that again. Okay. Rhesus factor. RH is a antigen. You need to know that RH is an antigen. Either you have it or you don't. Okay. RH is particularly an antigen that attaches to the surface of red blood cells. Okay. That's why when it's introduced to other things that does not have that antigen, it immediately knows because it's on the surface of the red blood cells. What kind of shape is a red blood cell? Bioconcave. I need more than 2 of you to know that. What kind of shape is a red blood cell?
Bioconcave.
Okay, bioconcave. Basically means it looks like a what? Like a little donut. Okay, looks like a donut. Otherwise called a drop. You got a question, Mr. Hero?
Never mind.
Okay. Yeah.
LOST.
Yes.
You were just going over. You finish it up. Talking about that.
RH and
RH.
and RH is an antigen.
Right.
And you have it, and it attaches onto the surface of red blood cells.
And it's the shape of
Don't worry about shape. That was just an extra question.
Oh, okay. That was
The red blood cells are shaped in a bioconjugate. They have a bioconjugate shape. Okay, there's that. Okay. Rogam would be used to treat what? Okay, what is that called? It's kind of a longer. Starts with an E. No. Erythroblastosis fetalis. Okay? Rogam is used to treat erythroblastosis fetalis, which is a disconnect. Okay? What happens, remember, is that RH is an antigen. Okay? If you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. Positive versus negative. But if a mom, RHOG, erythroblastosis fetalis, ERYTHRBLASTOSIS, fetalis, FETALIS. Erythroblastosis fetalis.
I just lost.
You just lost. You got lost there.
Is that your final answer?
Okay. Final answer. You win. But yes, okay, Rogam is used to treat erythroblastosis fetalis. We need erythroblastosis fetalis to not happen because it will kill you. Okay, or your baby will come out severely injured.
What do it look like?
It looks like somebody has literally attacked their skin. They're very patchy, they're inflamed, they are suffering. You're at the border of death. Okay? So, this is a particular problem we see in places that need ability to see if your baby is RH positive. Like Cambodia, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they're just having babies naturally. Okay? Here in America, we give you Rogam, it's all good. Okay? But we have to figure out if you need it first. This is a big problem in second and third world countries. These are all examples of what? Organs. Remember when we're talking about antibodies and antigens, specific immunity, in which you say that you to specifically defeat this type of foreign material, foreign virus, foreign pathogen, whatever, you did. That doesn't necessarily mean for it's specific. We need to understand the difference between specific immunity and non-specific. Non-specific immunity is something that we are all, okay? You all have skin. All of you. You all sneeze. You all cough. Okay? But if you get sick from something specific, okay, you get sick from this random strain of cold virus, you will work to defeat that. Okay? And then you will create antibodies in the presence from those antigens to defeat particularly that. Okay? If you have a baby after you defeated that cold virus, your baby will get a lot of those antibodies. Natural. Okay? Natural immunity. But we can also give you specific immunity through vaccinations and immunizations. Okay. This is to say that if we are going and we're going to give you an MMR, okay, MMR is measles, mumps, rubella. All those things are very deadly, especially to children. Okay. The thing about immunizations is that you need it not only to protect you, but you needed to protect the people who do not have the MMR vaccine. We saw that in California. I don't know if you read about that in the papers. 3 or 4 months ago, there was a measles outbreak. Okay? Because there were a lot of kids. There was a kid who came over from China, and literally came from China. Okay, I'm not stereotyping. Came over from China, and he didn't have the MMR vaccine. He had measles, in fact. So when that kid checked into school, okay, a lot of California parents, it used to be, it's actually a myth that the MMR vaccine would give your kid Down syndrome or autism. Okay? So really no one had it. Okay? But all those kids who never got that measles, mumps, rubella shot, that artificial immunity that was given to them, died. Schools shut, doctors' offices closed. Doctors' offices literally dropped any patient who's MMR vaccine. Because they don't want anybody who didn't have the measles and you were already vaccinated against it, you are not going to spread it further. Okay? So that's why vaccines are a specific immunity, and we need to understand that vaccines are artificial. And we should say this was not something we need to understand that. Okay? Actually, it's painful for females. It's not a comfortable thing until you get used to it. So, disease, okay, self-attachment. AIDS stands for
Deficiency syndrome.
You defeated it and you created antibodies. That is active learn how to do it by itself. We just need it immediately. Because some things will kill you very quickly, like snake venom. Will kill you. We don't have time to give you a vaccination for your body to learn how to defeat it to the snake venom, because you'll be dead now. Same thing. A lot of times, depending on the snake venom. But remember when I told you about B12 and why it's important? Okay? I'm gonna get there. Okay? Pernicious, those necessary factors. In anemia, you need to know that. Pernicious anemia is when you have a vitamin B12. And other things, but pernicious anemia. I want to talk about the leukocytes. The reason why I put that, you need to know all of them. Every single one. Basophil, eosinophil, neutrophil, lymphocyte, monocyte. You need to know all of them. Know the names of all of them. All 5 of the leukocytes. Basophils, eosinophils, neutrophils. Monocytes. Those 5 things, you need to know all 5.
You need to know if they're
You don't need to know, just know, and you need to know like alkaline, that's the other one. But okay.
the only one that does the alkaline.
This is in the middle of chapter 5. Okay.
Know all 5 leukocytes and then know that they're white blood cells. That's what it says.
Okay.
Oh, no.
She said.
Basophil, neutrophil, eosinophil, monocyte, lymphocyte. Okay, those are the 5 types of
What
white
did he say
blood.
about vitamin B12?
Vitamin B12, pernicious anemia of vitamin B. But in general, in order to understand pernicious anemia, okay, an anemia is a condition caused by an inability of the blood to carry sufficient oxygen to the body's cells. Okay? Anemia is either you don't have enough blood or you don't have enough hemoglobin in your blood. Okay? But the end result, either way, is that your body is not getting enough oxygen. Anemia is a condition caused by an inability that happens via 2 ways. Either you have enough hemoglobin in your blood. You understand it? Know it. Septicemia, you should already know, means what? Poison. It's better for you to understand it as infection. Septicemia. You should already know nucleosis is a viral. Okay? That is a viral infection. Is a viral infection. The lymphatic tissues in your mouth. The palatine tonsils and very